Hey HBs, you're listening to Heaving Bosoms Ask a Badass, the segment where we highlight listeners because y'all contain multitudes. You might have noticed that this has become a little semi-regular. We haven't dropped this completely, but there is a lot going on for everyone at the moment, so we can't promise to do an episode every week or perhaps even every month for the foreseeable future. We're going to look at these as lovely little surprise gifts when they pop up. We're still very invested in amplifying your voices and romance experiences, though. This week, however, we have Lauren Connolly on. She is a super OG listener. She actually recommended one of our favorite episode sets we've ever recorded with Split. She's a librarian, a super encourager, and a romance writer. She also somehow makes time to do the TikToks, so follow her at Lauren Connolly Romance. I'll include all her info in the show notes. Here we go.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi.
HBs, I'm here with Lauren C. She's not a stranger to you. You know a lot about Lauren C. Lauren is an author. You wrote You Only Need One, correct?
Yeah.
And
yes,
also Remembering the Witch, which would be ones that people can buy from Amazon. And then, but you've been writing for a long time, right?
Yeah, my first degree was in writing. So I've been writing, I guess, with a purpose since college, but I've been writing before that too.
I just can't even imagine writing it. It's like just such a foreign concept to me, because I think I may have talked about this in other episodes, but basically when I'm writing, it's just my voice, how I talk. And so no matter who the character is, they talk exactly like me. They use the same shorthand that I use. So you're like, this is just Natalie, but wearing different clothes. That's just who it is. So I've never been able to really do it. And I'm always in awe of people who can like make characters act in individual ways, because every character acts differently and reacts differently, and it's just so cool.
This is me with a bunch of different voices in my head.
Great. If only I could get those voices in my head to actually like you have a purpose. That'd be perfect. So HBs, you should go check out her books, and if you are so inclined, you should purchase her books, because I have purchased her books and have loved all of them. And if you have ever experienced the episode, which episode is it? The Fenella episode. I can't remember.
It's the Lindsay Sands book.
Yeah.
Highlander Takes the Bride.
And in that book, Aaron and Mel talk a lot about justice for Fenella, because Fenella really gets the shaft. And in your book, Remembering the Witch, you gave justice to Fenella, which is amazing.
I felt like she, everyone was like, yeah, she died just with nothing good happening in her life. And so, yeah, Remembering a Witch it's got this kind of, it's got a reincarnation theme. So I just like to think that maybe that original Fenella was one of the past reincarnations, and she's getting her due finally.
Amazing. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So HBs, go check it out. So then, have you always been writing romance as far as like writing stuff, or is it kind of varied throughout the years?
No, so that's actually the thing. So I feel like it's going to come off like I didn't like my my writing program, but it had lots of benefits for me. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if like a lot of people in academia ran into this, was that the romance genre has no respect, or it's gaining it. But I did not admit to myself or like anyone around me that I liked romance until like years after I graduated. And so I felt like during earning my degree, I was writing like literary fiction, and I was able to do that, but I wasn't like finding joy in it. And so it was harder to do. I was running into a lot of like writer's block and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is just what happens. People just run into writer's block and they struggle so much. And then I got to a point where I was like, I just like want them to make out a lot. And like,
you know what would help this plot? Sexual tension and then physical intercourse.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like writing these detailed outlines, and then I would get to a sex scene and I would actually write the prose of that. And then I would look at my outlines. I'd be like, I really liked the sex so much.
Yeah. This is way better than my outline.
Exactly. Yeah. So once I like got to the point where I admitted that romance was what I wanted to write, then like I wouldn't say that writing's necessarily the easiest thing in the world for me anymore, but like I do it daily now. And I don't struggle as much as I used to when I was trying to like plug myself into that literary puzzle piece that all my academic professors was like, this is how you write. This is professional writing. I was like, fuck that.
Or serious writing, or, you know what I mean, legitimate writing. And I think that that's such, I mean, and it kind of calls into attention, like, what is your definition of legitimate? Is it legitimate that somebody can make money and have a job doing their writing? What does legitimate even mean to somebody? I hate that concept. Exactly. Because so many people are making money off of romance writing. I'm not saying it's like a cash hog. How is that the right phrasing? But I'm not saying that's why they're writing it. Cash cow. There it is. I was like, there's a farm animal analogy in here somewhere, and I am searching for it.
Those hogs are just rolling in the money.
Exactly. But there are people that love writing romance and are able to make money off of it. And if that's not legitimate, I don't know what is. You know what I mean? So anyway, suck it, academia. Moral of that story. Well, and did you always read romance, even if it was like on the down low?
So that was another thing I like. So I'm like a lot of people. I kind of started off in the fantasy realm, and like I really liked Tamara Pierce and Julia Mariiller and Sharon Shin, and they were firmly in the fantasy section, but they all had romantic plot lines. And eventually I admitted to myself, I was like, I love the magic and fantasy stuff, but if it didn't have the romance in it, I would not like these books as much. Yeah. And so I transitioned so they just re-released their Firelight episode. Firelight by Kristen Callahan was the reason that I transitioned into romance. And it's funny because like the whole reason that I stuck on that book was because of the cover that Erin hated so much.
The one with Big Ben in the background.
Yeah, she's not wearing any shoes, but her dress is still there. And like I was working as a bookseller at Barnes and Noble, and we have like these handheld scanners that we scan the barcodes and it tells us where to shelf the books. And I picked that one off the cart and I was like, oh, this is going to go in the fantasy sci-fi section. And I scanned it and it told me it goes in the romance section. I was like, what? And so I shelved it there. And for like the rest of the summer, I would always just like meander past it and be like, is it still there? And then at the end of the summer, I was like, I'm just going to buy it with my 30% off.
Oh my gosh, it called to you. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then I read it and I was like, this is what romance is. Oh my gosh, I've been lying to myself for years.
I know. I think that there's a lot of weird bodice rippery stuff, especially like I'm making an assumption that we're of a similar age, and then what romance was when we were teens, which was a lot of Daniel Steele and things like that. It had this very like that's my mom's kind of a thing to it. Yeah. And I just always kind of was, although my mom is a book snob, so she would never, but you know what I mean? So you always kind of just figured it was lame or for older people or whatever. And it's totally not that way. No, and then you have to read Judy Blume's Summer Sisters and then you find out.
Yeah, you just got to sneak it in.
It's got to come out of nowhere with some girl on girl 13-year-olds, you know. When you're 13, it's okay.
Every 13-year-old needs some. No, I'm going to stop that statement. That was going on a bad path.
I mean, bad for who? So, do you read only romance now? Are you solely romance? Or are you reading other things too?
So when it comes to like physical and ebooks that I'm reading, I read romance and I read books about the craft of writing. but then when it comes to audiobooks, I'll listen to anything. I really like listening to like nonfiction audiobooks. I can't sit down and read one. My mind will wander, but I can listen to them.
Yeah.
And so I would, if you count audiobooks as reading, then I read across genres. So
I do count
those. And I think it's important, especially like as people to like consume a lot of different types of content, but it helps me, I think, as a writer, like that I'm not so inbred kind of in like only reading and then producing romance. It's like if I branch out and like I listen to these real life stories and these different like scientific concepts and stuff, then that produces more ideas for my own writing.
I was reading, I didn't actually open the whole blog post, but the Oatmeal, I don't know if you read the Oatmeal comic, webcomic, but he wrote a little blurb comic for Facebook, and then if you opened it, it was a longer version, but about how he will take big breaks from creating because he has to, what he calls like recharge, and so he has to not create at all and completely put away like the visual medium so that he can read, because he's it's a comic, so he's drawing and things like that. He'll read and go hiking and like exercise and stuff like that and travel, and then it's like can like recharge everything in order to create again. Otherwise, he won't be able to. And I think it's like similar to what you were saying, right?
Yeah, that's such an important thing. I definitely like when I come to like a roadblock in my writing, that's when I know it's time to take my dog for a walk. And then I just let my mind relax. And luckily, since I have a dog, I'm actually allowed to leave my apartment. In this
you're essential. That's an essential job duty.
If it helps with the ambiance of this podcast at all, right before I started talking to you, I put a loaf of banana bread in the oven to bake. So
yes,
that's going on behind me.
There's, do you have a favorite banana bread recipe? Were you on that thread in the cult about banana bread? I feel like you were. Maybe not.
I think I did. I think I may have posted it. I found one through, I think it's Cookie and Kate. And it's relatively healthy because
it's the whole wheat one, right?
Yeah, and they
I've made it.
You did? How'd you like it?
I really liked it. So our go-to is a half chocolate, and half regular banana bread swirled together. That's our go-to because it's a little bit for everybody. But I've made that one before, and I have 7 bananas right now in my house that no one's eating. So I'll probably be making banana bread later on this week.
Yes. Nice. Just banana bread party.
Yes. It is good though. It's a whole wheat, and I can't remember. Is it used sour cream or yogurt? I can't remember which off the top of my head, but
you can't, I've used it before, but I like, they use, they say to use honey or maple syrup instead of sugar.
Yes. It was very good.
Yes. It's a tasty one. And I figured out how to make it at high altitude because I live in Colorado. I'm at like 6,000 feet or something. So I had to like mess with it when I moved here from Ohio.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I am an avid baker, but if you had to like change all the recipes that I used a lot, I think I would go into a tailspin for a short period of time.
I have the conversions on my fridge, and I'm always checking it. And I'm like, if I waste all this stuff and it comes out, I'll still probably eat it, but I'll be very annoyed.
Is it temperature differences? What do you have to change?
Yeah, so temperature goes up, fat goes down, sugar goes down, flour goes up.
Holy hell! Everything.
There's like 6 different things you have to manipulate. Baking soda goes down. I don't know. It's on my fridge.
Yeah, I would have to keep it on. Like I'd tattoo it on my body, I think, because good God. On the inside of my forearm would just be altitude. That's actually a good idea. I wish I had the conversions for like tablespoons to like half cups and stuff like that. Could tattoo it on my body. Maybe I'll consider that for my next tattoo.
You know what baffles me? There's a mountain. I'm horrible with names, so I don't know that this is the right one. It's like Mount McKinley or something. It's right outside of Denver. It's the Denver-ish area. But anyway, you can hike up it, but you can also drive up to the top. And at the top, there is like a visitor station. And in that visitor station, they make donuts. And it's a donut recipe that can only be made in that one place because it is such a high altitude. And it was very tasty. It was very delicious, greasy donut. And I loved it.
I would hike up a mountain for a donut.
Right? That's the only reason to do any type of hiking is to know that there's a dessert waiting for you at the end.
Exactly. I really exercise in general. That's my main motivation. I want to exercise enough that I could eat as many desserts as I want without like any consequences.
I think it's a good motivator.
If I was going to sum up my quarantine in one word, it would just be carbs. It's just going to be, that's been my safer at home is carbs.
As long as you've got a nice, happy safety blanket there in your quarantine.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I feel like we were talking about romance at some point in this life. It went off the rails as things usually do. But do you have anything besides writing and food and romance that you're currently passionate about?
Yeah. So what am I passionate? Well, I just so for the longest time, growing up, my family has always been a dog family. And just a couple months ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to bring some cats into the mix. And so I just adopted 2 kittens. I am now figuring out all the craziness of cats, and they're very cute, but they also seem on like a mission to injure themselves by eating a plethora of things I never even considered.
Your cats do?
My cats, yeah. I've had to cut all of the tassels off my blankets. Just no more tassel blankets. They ate the cord on my white noise machine, so we sleep in silence now. And but they're also adorable, and so it's just I've integrated them with my dog. So now, basically, I just wanted to make my living off of cat dog pictures on Instagram. So I'm kind of working towards that goal.
Great work. I mean, if I could do that, I would do that.
Just adorable animal photos, and that's all the work I want to put in.
Should we go for a lightning round? Sure.
Yes, I will try my best to be lightning fast.
You don't have to. No one else has, especially me. I have a couple of questions that maybe haven't been on before. Does that sound fun?
Yay, fun.
And they might be surprises. If you don't like the question, you can say pass. Okay. Are you an Aaron or a Melody?
I am an Melody around people I don't know very well. Like I tend to be like upbeat and people pleasery around strangers.
Yeah. Yes.
But then when I'm around like my family and friends, I'm like, okay, you know me. Let's get on schedule here. I don't need to please you.
Yes.
You know what I'm like. I know what you're like. Let's stop fooling each other.
Absolutely.
Combination.
I was going to word this question in a weird way, but I think it has to just be this way. Who is your ideal stern brunch daddy?
Ooh, my ideal stern brunch daddy.
I was going to say stern brunch daddy or mommy, but that felt real weird. So we'll stick with brunch daddy. Sorry, keep going.
Okay. I will go the brunch daddy route. And I would have to say, I think that Hugh Jackman has gotten to that point, especially like an aged Wolverine.
Okay. Aged Wolverine is taking the sexy down a little bit, but I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, not aged, like just
Silver Fox bit, Wolverine.
Like aging him into the stern brunch daddy realm.
Yes, absolutely. Because I feel like he doesn't have a lot of stern in his real person life, right? But like in the Wolverine role.
Like, upbeat and positive, which is a great version of him, but I feel like I need the Wolverine version to get the sternness and use those Wolverine claws at brunch. I don't know, but
yeah, sure.
For me.
I mean, he could cut your bread for you. Let me just slice your pancakes. Have you seen the This Is Me performance where it's like the auditioning performance where I'll send you a link to it, but it's I'm not going to remember anyone's name. Kiela Settle. And they're doing it, but like as an audition, and Hugh Jackman is in there like being her biggest cheerleader, and he's like standing up and pumping his arms.
Like the table read type thing?
Yes,
situation?
exactly.
Yes. Oh, yes. I mean, still send me the link.
First of all,
it's been a while since I saw it, but that was
I will cry every single time I watch that performance. But he is like the biggest like cheerleader for Kiela that you've ever seen, and it makes me just love him so much.
Yes. Oh gosh, and then when he's in Australia, the movie Australia, that I feel like he's got sternness in there too. I'm sorry. Well, we can. This is not a fast lightning Hugh Jackman.
Oh well. What I see, I also was thinking about taking this one out, but I really like it because I hate J.K. Rowling, but I love Harry Potter. So, oh well. What's your Hogwarts house?
I am a Hufflepuff. Yes.
Me too.
Yes, it's awesome. I like when I first got it was back when before Hufflepuffs had their heyday.
Yeah, when everyone was like, I'm a Gryffindor.
Exactly. But then the Pottermore had a description of their house, and it was like, it's sunny and warm and right next to the kitchen, and every chair is cushy. And I was like, yes, I'm a Hufflepuff. I'm a Hufflepuff 100%.
I will own this for that cushy chair alone. Yeah, I hear you. That's like everything I want in life right now. Sit in the sun, read a book, smell some kitchen food, be close access to snacks. Great. Love it.
Exactly.
Do you have a favorite smell?
A favorite smell? Ooh, that's an interesting one. I really like the smell of hot asphalt.
Okay.
It's I think because it's like summertime, and also I
like freshly paved roads or like parking lot in the heat, or both.
Like both. Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's like baking in the sun, and it's really nice. Like right after I've escaped from an overly air conditioned building, and I'm like freezing, and I just like smell a hot asphalt, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go sit in my car and just like bake myself like a loaf of bread. So I don't want to wear a hot asphalt perfume or anything, but
it takes you to a place though, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I am that person too though, where, cause especially my old job, it was so cold. And so I would sit in the hot car with no air conditioning and no windows open for like 10 minutes just to like re-regulate my body temperature. Yes, it's the best. And it's very, very soothing. Maybe it's a Hufflepuff thing. Who knows?
We like that heat.
Yeah. Do you have a go-to snack?
I have a snack that like I won't let myself keep in the house because I will consume it so fast, and that's pizza goldfish.
Oh, yeah.
I will finish an entire bag in one sitting. And I guess maybe it's Pepperidge Farms or whatever is the company that does them. It's also Mint Milanos. I will consume those in one sitting, and there's like 15 in a bag. Those would be like, if they had no effect on my health, those would be around all the time.
Have you ever had the Parmesan goldfish? They're not everywhere. So you have to keep an eye out for them. But
okay, I will sample them. And
they're Parmesan. They're like a light color, and I bet you would like them as much as pizza. I think you would.
I'm
maybe
sure I would. It's like cheesy crackers. Like what?
Yeah. Yeah. True statement. Do you have any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Well, it circles back around to the theme of this episode. I would tell my younger self, use the freaking library. I was like, when I was younger, I was like, the books don't smell new. I want to buy my books. And so like I spent all this time just like saving up money and buying a new book from Barnes and Noble. And like, that was great. Like I love owning books, but I was like, you could have read so much more if you just went to the library and used the library. And so now I'm like, the first thing I did when I moved to this new town was like, I need a public library card and I need it now.
Where's the library right now? I grew up literally like my street was a dead end street, and at the end of the dead end was the back of the library. So it was literally like a 3-minute walk. You could see it from my bedroom window, which I did not realize how amazing that was until like later on in life.
That's the dream.
We were
when
there
I see houses
all the time
next to a library, I'm like, oh, if only I could buy you.
Now they're like $1 million. Just kidding. I lived in a shitty ass condo. It's not $1 million to live there. It still exists. I have a couple romance related questions, or not necessarily romance, book related.
Okay.
I guess this one's romance related. Do you have a favorite trope?
Yes. I love a lot of tropes, but my favorite would probably be long-term secret pining. I think another HB mentioned this before, but like Truth or Beard, Penny Reed's Truth or Beard, that's a really good example. And Kristen Callahan's Shadow Dance. It's just like where the hero has, for the longest time, he's like, I love her more than anything in the world, but I won't tell her.
Yeah.
And then when you get that moment when he finally gets what he wants, or she gets what I love that long-term secret pining.
Yes. I especially like that trope when you as the reader can see all the Easter eggs of how much the one person cares about the other person, but the other person explained it away for whatever reason. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh,
when that other person was like, yeah, but they're so friendly to everybody, or yeah, but I'm their sister's best friend or whatever. And you know what I mean? So I always love that when you can see how much they love you, the other person.
I'm like, haha, you fool. Just wait. Wait.
Exactly. Do you have a go-to author right now? Romance or otherwise?
I am in my quarantine. I am making my way through Lisa Kleypas's books. And
great idea.
I love I read them kind of randomly in spurts, and now I'm like, I have just so much time. I'm just gonna go on a Lisa Kleypas binge. And also I'm finishing Cressley Cole's Immortals After Dark series, which is amazing.
Do you read more than one book at a time?
Yes. Yeah. I have, I'll have like the different subgenres going. I'll have a contemporary and a historical and a paranormal. And I just kind of sit down and I'm like, what mood am I in? And I'll pick up whatever mood I'm in.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And do you have a problematic fave?
I do. Doesn't everyone? It's actually this particular series, but probably if I could dive farther into this entire subgenre, and I would probably love it all and still find it all a problematic fave. But Joanna Wild's Reaper's MC series. It's a motorcycle club series, and it's just it's all of these guys calling their women their old ladies, and they own them, and just it's like, I'm reading it and I'm like, I shouldn't like this, but what else are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so when does the next book come out though?
Oh my gosh. I just like, there's this one, I think it was like the second book, Reaper's Legacy, where the hero has the heroine tied up in a mechanic shop, and like they just finished having sex, and like his motorcycle buddies come in, they're like, oh, you just fucked that girl, and he's like, yeah, I did. And she's like, untie me. And I'm like, don't untie her. What's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, that one.
Perfect. I think there's a lot of like problematic motorcycle faves. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, motorcycle clubs in general are problematic, for the most part, maybe some not as much as others, but so then you add in like a romance and you're like, yes, please give me all of this content that is nothing like my real life, and I would love to sink into it, please. Thanks. Exactly. I totally know what you mean. Okay, if you were gonna go ahead.
You don't want to meet them in real life, but you'll want to read about them on the page.
When that actual motorcycle club standoff situation happened at that like diner in Nebraska or wherever the fuck, I was like, what happened? This is real life? Because I had read quite a few motorcycle books at that point in time. And then obviously a lot of people had watched like Sons of Anarchy and stuff like that. And I was like, did people get this idea from TV or vice versa?
You're like, it's not as romantic in real life.
No, exactly. Everyone's dead. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If you were going to bing boom bong something, what would it be?
I would probably bing boom bong fact checking with Lauren. I don't know. Like, I feel like I know a little about a lot of things as opposed to like a lot about one thing. And so it's more, I guess, like as a librarian, that's kind of like your job. And I'm like, if someone states something like it's a fact, my first thing is, where'd you hear that from? Can you give me your sources?
Yeah.
So
I had somebody come into my office the other day. This is before the quarantine. And I felt like a bitch when I did it. But she came in and she was like, Natalie, did you hear that we're going to go to martial law? And I was like, where's your source on that? Where did you read it?
Yes.
And I was like, whatever source you tell me will let me know if that's a legitimate comment that you just made or not. I won't tell you if it's illegitimate, but at least I'll know for myself. But yeah, I felt really bitchy. And she was like, oh, my mom told me. And I was like, where did she hear it? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to disregard it. They didn't really say that part out loud.
Everything you just said was useless to me.
Yeah, exactly. And that was 2 weeks ago. Okay. And I think what she meant was quarantine, but that's how rumors start. That's
vocabulary is important.
Exactly. Do you have a favorite Heaving Bosoms catchphrase?
Oh, yes. And I don't get to use it enough. I think I'm just going to start plugging it in at random points in my life. But I would say my favorite one is, what's a machine, Derek? From... it's like really early on, but I just loved Aaron's tone and stuff they discussed with this vampire that didn't know what machines were, or he shouldn't have known what machines were. And I was like, it's such a good point. What's a machine, Derek?
That's the best. I feel like you would be able to use that in a lot of places where people would have no idea what you were talking about.
They're like, who's Derek?
Right? Yeah. My name is Charles.
And then you just say it with such disdain that they like don't want to question it though.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, maybe my name is Derek. Or they're like, you act like it's a reference they should know. Like it's from Friends or something. Yep. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
If you could dispense one condiment from your belly button, what would it be?
Okay. So
this has a whole new relevance during this quarantine time.
It really does. Yeah. Like, can I dispense bread dough from my belly button?
Oh my God. My body is a fermentation machine.
Like holding a bread pan under my belly button. I'm like, we're gonna feast later.
Oh no. Okay.
That's the worst image.
Oh man. Is that your final answer?
Yes, bread dough. No. Bread is my condiment for everything.
On top of my bread, I like some more bread. Thank you.
That's how I live my life.
Oh man. Was that your pre-quarantine answer? What was your pre-quarantine answer?
Pre-quarantine, I was thinking, so I get grossed out by just even the word pus. So like anything that's like pus-like would just not work. So I was thinking like light frothy whipped cream. And I just be like, oh, put some whipped cream on top of my mocha. Here we go. And also my dog really likes whipped cream. So I feel like I could use it as like a last
training
dog
tool.
Treat.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look at me. Chunk, a little bit of whipped cream on my belly button and like get his attention.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. And I'm picturing it like a Ready Whip can. You know what I mean? Like kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, and then like it could also be sexy, like in the middle of sexy times.
I mean,
like,
I don't know if that's true, but sure. Whatever you're into, I'm okay with it. But
okay, I mean, if we got to do a poll to find out what people find sexy or dispense from a belly button during sexy times, would it be my whipped cream or
what
your
if it
ketchup?
got pressed by accident?
and then I'd be like, oh, it happens to everyone. He's like, it's not me, it's your whipped cream.
Especially if I had that Ready Whip sound effect, like. Oh no! Oh man. Okay, so soon after this episode releases, I will be posting a poll in the cult about what condiment is the sexiest to be dispensed from your belly button during sexy times.
Yes, we need to know the answer.
And if Holly posts GD spicy mustard, I will riot or something. No, and it's not. The answer is also not white vinegar. Okay.
Some interesting smells during.
Oh no! Oh no! Hand sanitizer also not necessary during this time. We're not accepting that as an answer. Oh man, yeah. Lauren, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you for having me.
This was like a really nice way to talk to somebody during this weird time. It's so good.
It's good to talk to like a person who responds as opposed to my pet that just stare.
I could loan you my children for a while. They respond to everything, just so you know. So Lauren, keep being a badass and love yourself as much as you love heaving bosoms.
Heaving bosoms.
Yay!
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.